Last episode, Tim and Mo started dating.
Yes, and it's okay. In part one of this video series of our story, what happened? We broke up. We were in college.
We got together.
We got together. We broke up to pursue the Lord, and then
we just graduated.
We just graduated. I am sent out to South Dakota, and Tim is still here in North Carolina pursuing his engineering career. So that's where we're at.
We are here. So I stayed in North Carolina. She went out to South Dakota, and I wanted to stay in North Carolina to be near friends, family, church family. And I just thought it was a good fit to just stay rooted here for a season of my life upon graduation. So I ended up living with a bunch of guys that went to church with me, and it was a great season. So it was really cool. But we lived in a house. We called it the guy's house, and it was a bunch of guys living together. And
super original.
Yeah, super original. But it was cool because we had this model where we all wanted to push each other to be better. So we gave each other permission to speak into each other's lives. So
what does that mean?
I was gonna say, what does that look like practically? It looks like, dude, you're lazy. You just sit on your butt all day, but you say you want to become this. Are you actually gonna do it? So we lived in this pretty vulnerable state where we just let each other be real with one another, and practically it played itself out in terms of like goals and vision, but also just like little things like, man, you said you're going to clean up, but you didn't. Why? And so we would always push deeper, like, okay, not just, oh, I'll do it, but it's like, well, why do you always say that? Why do you say you're going to do it, but you don't do it? So it's a pretty cool environment. We always used to joke, we're like, man, I'm getting you ready for marriage, man. And honestly, it really didn't help. But anyway, a lot of the immaturity that I had living with guys and living with people that are going to keep it real with you 100% of the time, it shook off a lot of that immaturity. It made me more disciplined. It made me more committed. Honestly, the lack of commitment that was in our relationship, a lot of that was because I was not leading. And it's like I learned how to lead in that season. There's a lot of different things that came.
And he's talking about in our relationship, him not leading when we were in college.
Yeah. And so in her wilderness season.
Yes, so I was in South.
What is the wilderness season?
I'm done. Oh, did I not say it?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
That was part
Stop.
2.
I'm done. So by wilderness season, if you know anything about Moses or the children of Israel, it was really a time of really having to learn how to trust God. I didn't really have a support system where I was at. All my family and friends, church family, was in North Carolina. Trying to have spiritual mothers where I was at, but it just wasn't there. I just felt like I was really alone, and then the job was super difficult, super stressful. It is what it is, you just had to take it and deal with the job. And a lot of my peers, I didn't have many people I knew who were officers and were also African Americans, so it was also very difficult. Not that I didn't hang out with other ethnicities, it was just very difficult because there wasn't that common ground, or that, hey, I know what you're dealing with. Hey, I had just did the big chop before I went to South Dakota. I looked completely different. One, I had two whammies again. I was double minority. I was a woman, and then I was black, and I was an officer, and there were not many of us. And then I was young, and then
sister soldiers that thought you was coming in.
Where'd they coming from? Let me stop. Yeah. And so at South Dakota, okay, look, we were like 1%, less than 1% of the state in South Dakota, African Americans. So all of that, and then I had just did the big chop, y'all. I had maybe a couple of inches of hair. So I was trying to figure that out. Never really did my hair before. Anytime I tried to go to a stylist, they were trying to straighten it. It was just a lot going on. So when you have, one, I don't see many people like me, and it's, a bit difficult. Two, I don't feel like I have a family here where I have a support system, whether it's in the church, wherever, I had some people there. I don't want to take that away from them. They were there and they were awesome. Like they were everything to me. Still keep in touch with them now. But it was just so different from what I was accustomed to, and I really felt like I took that for granted. And you only know when you take something for granted when you get away from it. So hindsight's 2020. So I had that. The job was super stressful. I was definitely filling in the shoes of a rank that was much higher than mine. But hey, budget cuts, you gotta do what you gotta do. In the military, you just say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and get the job done. So and I was dealing with everybody's problems, but not able to deal with my own. So it was just a lot, and I really felt like that was my wilderness time, where it was just like, okay, Lord, I may not have all these other things I had before, but I have you and you're constant. So what am I supposed to be learning in this season? Why are you bringing me through this? What is it creating in me? What is it tearing down that needs to be torn down in me? What is it validating in me? What is it bringing me to? And ultimately, it's to bring you all the glory and really expand your kingdom. So that was really my wilderness time for 2.5 years.
And I'm glad she went through, because when we started dating, she was a different person. And
Yeah.
not that she was different, like she was the same person, but again, a lot of the immaturity that she walked in was gone. And it's like,
little ratchet, little like, I'm gonna lead us. like what?
She was willing to be led.
Yes.
And I learned how to lead. So
yeah.
Anyway, to kind of, how much do you want to go into the process, like the back and forth process within the process?
So we could just talk about that. Well, so you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
So when we were in this time when we were apart, we rarely actually talked with one another. We talked for a bit, and then I would go back home and visit twice a year. I would come during the summer, and I would come for Christmas, because Christmas is my favorite holiday. I was always going to come and be around family. Thanksgiving, I'm like, I'll deal. But Christmas, I got to be home. So those are the times we only really saw one another. We talked a bit here and there, but it was very back and forth. Like, Tim went through seasons where he was like, really feel like we don't need to be talking like this. It's really putting me in a spot where confusion, where, I'm really supposed to be serving God and really being where I'm called here. And I don't really need to be caught up in having relations with you in that way, because it brings up those romantic feelings. And we really don't have an answer as to what's next with, if there even is an us later. So a lot of back and forth, which I was a bit bitter about, but we I guess we made it through. And so you can talk about, well, let me talk about green. Okay, so anyway, sorry. I got this opportunity. My boss brought it up to me about going to doing Air Force ROTC as an instructor and working at a university in North Carolina, which was going to put me in close proximity to him. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. I'm ready. Like, sign me up, coach. This is what I've been waiting for. This may be the answer. And I truly had peace from God about it. So I was like, I'm going to go through with it, because I'm going to be real with y'all. I won't feel in South Dakota. I was trying to go to Korea. I was trying to go everywhere. I was trying to get out of South Dakota. I was like, I need to see other people. I need to see some city life. I need something. But anyways, let's
just be real too, man. If she had went to Korea, that would not have.
That would have ended us.
Well, I mean, not even that. You act like you'd have been like, I'm ready to go home.
You're right. Okay, you're right. None of that really made sense, but I just wanted to be away from South Dakota.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
coming from the girl, I'm about to buy a ticket to Israel. Like, what do you mean? When are you going? In a couple months. With who? I'm just gonna go. We ain't talking New York, we're talking Israel.
Okay, look, I have all these big ideas of what I want to do and travel and all this stuff, and I just don't sometimes think of the practicality of it all. So, anyways, that aside. I put in for the application, and my boss soon after came back to me and said, okay, headquarters higher up said, they're not approving this. They think it's best for you to stay in the career field, get some more experience. So the nearest I would be back to home was like maybe a 6 to 8 hour drive away. Actually, it was more like 8 hour drive, probably 7 to 8 hour drive away from home. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And I was just so upset, because I was like,
sorry.
You're fine.
I thought that. Never mind.
Anyway, so I was like, okay, well, I guess that's that. I was upset, but I was like, God, I thought that, you were giving me the go ahead on this. I really had peace about it. So anyways, I was like, I was really distraught. So I took the next day off, and I took it off, and I was just like, you know what, Lord, your will be done. You haven't dropped me. You've been with me. You've comforted me. You've given me everything I needed and more. Why should I ever doubt you? Why should I start? So I was just praying, and on my day off, my boss calls me up, and I'm like, what does he want? Like, I'm on my day off. Haven't I dealt with enough? And he's like, look, headquarters just called me, and they changed their mind. They said, go with it now. Like, go ahead and put in your application now. And I was like, what? I was like, Lord, woo! I don't know. It was just like, it was so awesome to see that turn around so quickly. So anyways, I put it all through. Within 2-week turnaround, I got the position, and I was moving in a couple months, 3 months. And I decided to go visit him and surprise him. I don't want to go through why or how I surprised you, but
okay, yeah, I can kind of breeze through this part really quick.
Okay, good.
So she ends up surprising me in Greensboro, and not.
It's not. I'm done. It's whatever. Okay.
Well, A&T, that's where.
Yeah, I
Okay.
worked at North Carolina A&T.
So she ended up surprising me, and she kind of breaks the news. She's like, "Yeah, I'm moving in XYZ," and I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." Because I had honestly, I'd done the math in my head, and I was like, what basis could she go to that we could actually pursue something, if that even were a thing? And the closest I had ever come up with was 3 hours, and that's on Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. And I've got family near that area. I was like, well, I can visit my family, visit her. But when she said moving back to North Carolina, I was like, wow, this could really happen. So she says, hey, are you still interested? At the time, I said yes, and I'm just gonna sum up the next portion of this by saying the timing was not right.
Yeah.
And as much as I wanted it to be right, when I really thought about it, it wasn't right, and I had to really ask myself some questions like, hey, do I really know where I'm going personally? Do I really know how to lead her the way I need to? And when I say I learned how to lead, a lot of that came in this area where I found out, man, here's this opportunity. I want it. I want to pursue this thing with her. But ultimately, it turned out the timing wasn't right. And that was more of a self-assessment to say, hey, I don't think we should pursue this at this time. And it was tough because it was something that I had really, really wanted. And like I said, I would go into more detail, but it's just a lot, and I don't want to bog this video down. But ultimately, we decided, or I guess I decided that the timing wasn't right. And after that, it's like our relationship took it went into another phase where before we were pretty cordial. After that, it was kind of like this is nothing. Like we're done. And
well, that's pretty much how I felt.
Yeah.
I was done. I was done.
Because at that point, it was like, okay, I don't want to keep, I don't know what this process looks like for me to figure out, like, hey, who am I? Where am I going? I kind of knew who I was. It was like, where am I going? And I was like, I didn't want to bog her down with my process of figuring that out. So,
which was hindsight, so smart, and I'm so glad we didn't start then. But in the moment,
yeah,
I was
it was
done.
tough. So several months later, maybe 5 months later, we reconnected a little bit, just through like Facebook chat and Gmail chat.
And at that point, I had forgiven him. I had not actually vocalized that to him, but with God, I just really forgave him. I asked for forgiveness myself because it's like, I was forgiven. I'm always forgiven through Christ Jesus. Therefore, I cannot hold any of that against him, and I must forgive him.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we started just conversation, and we're like, hey, I think she asked me the question like, hey, what is this turning back into?
Yeah, because he started hitting me up. I'm like, I just need to know before I put my heart back out there.
So very quickly, we got with some people that we trusted, and we're like, hey, let's talk through what this process could look like. Let's talk through what a relationship could look like.
So with that, we're going to go to part 3 because I like this ending time. Part 3 is the relationship through hopefully marriage.
Yeah.
All right.
No part 4.
No part 4. Bye, guys.